So, Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. Oh boy, this game has been out for over a month now. When this was randomly announced back in October of last year, I was actually pretty excited. Xenoblade fans have been begging for this game to be ported to the Switch for years at this point. And the fact that they just randomly announced it was pretty hype. I'm actually a huge Xenoblade fan. It's actually one of my favorite video game series of all time. Like, I love the story, the characters, gameplay, and like the world of these games. So you may be surprised to know that I've actually never played the original Xenoblade Chronicles X that released on the Wii U. I kinda missed out on the game when it originally released, and fuck trying to get a copy of the game nowadays. The only experience of X I had was getting my ass handed to me by Elma in Xenoblade 2.
I don't want to play this anymore.
So I just ended up waiting for it to be ported to the Switch to finally play it. Over the years, I heard that X was considered to be the weakest of the series, and that piqued my curiosity. What made X not as good compared to the other mainline games? Was I going to hate it? I was still excited to finally get into the game, but I went into it with tempered expectations. After finally beating the game, can I say that the game was worth it? Is it my least favorite? Well, let's get into it. Xenoblade X tells the story of the human race being caught up in an alien war leading to Earth's destruction. Your ship, the White Whale, crash lands into a planet called Mira. This is where your OC character comes in. Yeah, this took me by surprise. I didn't know that you were able to just make your own character in this game. That's really cool. I ended up just making my character look like Pyra from Xenoblade 2 if she was going through an edgy phase in her life. You are found and awakened by a soldier named Elma. This is where we learned that the OC doesn't recall their past at all, and this is where we named the character. Since I have no originality, I ended up just looking up the canon name and using that. So the canon name is Cross, huh? Nah, that's lame. For this review, we will call the OC Emo Pyra. After Emo Pyra gets to see Mira for herself, her and Elma make it to where humanity is staying, a place called New Los Angeles, also known as New LA or NLA. This place has a lot of names. After familiarizing Emo Pyra to NLA, she joins Blade, an organization that is split into divisions that work towards learning more about Mira, ensuring the survival of the human race, and most importantly, securing the Lifehold Core and any remaining pieces of it. So, as a member of Blade, you must find the Lifehold Core and learn more about planet Mira. Starting off with the positives of Xenoblade X, the first positive I have is just Mira itself. Mira is fucking massive. This is to be expected from a Xenoblade game, but Mira looks gorgeous too. Like, just running around exploring each area of Mira was awesome. Most of the time. I always love discovering new areas of this planet and exploring it, and learning more about Mira was cool too. Like, seeing the different kinds of races that live on Mira was always interesting, and how they live and like when they arrived on Mira. Learning more about the lore of Mira was just really cool. I think they did a pretty good job of just fleshing out Mira in this game. Like, they really made Mira feel alive. The next positive I have with the game is the gameplay itself. Xenoblade games have always had interesting gameplay that differ from each other, and I'm glad to say that the gameplay in this game is really good. Your characters will all have a basic auto attack that doesn't really do that much damage, but every character has moves called arts. Arts are special moves that have different effects based on how you use them. Some arts act as powerful moves that do a lot of damage. Some arts act as a debuff towards your enemies. And there are arts that just act as buffs and support for you and your party. Each art is assigned to a color. What color an art is determines what kind of art it is. Well, like, green and blue arts are buff for you and your party. Purple arts act as debuffs, and brown and yellow arts are your offensive arts. Some arts also have special effects if you use them correctly. For example, there's arts that do more damage to toppled enemies, or do more damage if you attack from behind or from the side of an enemy. Arts are what make each character unique. Each character has a different set of arts based on what weapons they have and what class they are. Like, for example, Elma. She has a lot of arts that do a lot of damage, that staggers enemies, and a character like Lyn has arts that help gain aggro or buff defense. Each character has a lot of different arts, but can only use 8 on their loadout. You can switch between a ranged weapon like a gun or a melee weapon on the fly. Melee tends to do more damage, but your ranged weapon is usually meant for gaining your tension points, aka TP. TP is very important because some arts and actions can't be used unless you have enough TP. Like reviving a fallen party member costs 3000 TP, which sounds like a lot, but you can kind of gain TP kind of fast with certain characters. Some arts you can't use unless you have 1000 TP, but these arts can usually be pretty good. Most TP arts are known as auras, which are blue arts. Auras are arts that can buff you and help you out in battle, but all colors can have TP arts and not just auras. Once you use an art, it goes on a cooldown before you can use it again. But there's a quick cooldown option where you can press the Y button on an art you want to use again and you can just use it. But you can only do this a limited amount of times in the battle, so you have to plan accordingly. This is such a good fucking change, oh my god. It was always kind of a pain in the ass in the other games when like you wanted to use a certain art but couldn't because it was on cooldown. With this, if you really need to or really just want to spam powerful attacks, you can just use the quick cooldown. Unless you're out of like quick cooldown, you can just use it. It could be such a fucking lifesaver. I love it. If you played the other games in the series, you may notice that the chain attack isn't in this game, but it is replaced by something. Later on in the game, you unlock something called Overdrive. For the cost of 3000 TP, you can activate it and all your arts recharge way faster. And some of your arts have additional bonuses attached to them, like ascending the overdrive or gaining more TP. I just love the system. Like the art system makes the combat so unique and fun to experiment with. Like I always love trying out new builds of characters and like trying out different art layouts. This system can get pretty insane and has a lot of depth to it. Like it may seem like a lot at first, but it wouldn't be a Xenoblade game if for like the first couple hours you didn't know what the hell was going on with the gameplay. But once you learn the game mechanics, it's so fun to play and master. And Overdrive, it's extremely fun to use, and late game, it can be abused. Let's just say that. So you are constantly in it and you're doing so much damage. I do prefer the chain attacks from the main trilogy, to be honest, but Overdrive is extremely fun to use. Also, I just love just how many party members are in this game. This game has the most playable party members in the series. You unlock some during the story, but most of them are unlocked by doing certain affinity missions in the game. So kinda like the heroes in Xenoblade 3. Each of them have certain classes and different arts. Some party members are good for healing and supporting, some are good damage dealers, and some are like really good tanks. With how many party members are in the game, like it allows for a lot of like team diversity and build setups. You can't change the classes of any party member except for Emo Pyra. Emo Pyra can be any class you want, you just have to unlock them. I like this a lot. It makes Emo Pyra unique to play as, since you can pretty much build her any way you want. If you lack a healer or a supporter, have Emo Pyra fill that role, or you can just have her be your main damage dealer and have other characters for support. Like this game does a good job of allowing you to build your team any way you want and giving you creative freedom with Emo Pyra. Once you complete chapter 6, you unlock what I would consider to be the best thing about this game: the Steles. A Stele is a giant mech that you can control and use pretty much whenever you want. You can drive around Mira in the Stele and you can fight in them. Steles are fully customizable. Each weapon you buy for it, it's an art for the Stele. And when you're fighting against bigger enemies, you or your party members can actually like hold them in place while everyone else beat the hell out of that enemy. And the Steles even let you take down some enemies that are like a good amount of levels higher than you. But you want to be careful, because if you break your Stele in battle, there's still insurance that you gotta pay up. Damn, man, even when I'm playing Xenoblade, I can't avoid insurance payments. What the fuck? Honestly, this isn't too bad. Most of the time, your Stele won't break, and if it does, usually it's replaced for free. This is easily the coolest thing in this fucking game. It's so badass, just driving around in this thing in a big-ass map like Mira, or just taking down enemies and bosses in it like it's straight out of mecha anime. Like, Xenoblade has always had some inspiration from like mecha anime, so it's awesome to like actually be able to play in your own mech and just fuck things up. It's so badass. I never got tired of using the Steles to explore Mira or fight enemies. Just so cool. I fucking love the Steles. The final positive for the game is the soundtrack. I will say it is my least favorite soundtrack of the series, but the music is pretty good. There were a decent amount of tracks that had to grow on me, like both NLA themes. Area themes like Nottingham are really good, but easily my favorite track in the game was Uncontrollable. This song actually goes hard as fuck. Each time it played, it made the bosses hype, and it also filled me with anxiety because when this played, there's a high chance an enemy will just one-shot you. Overall, pretty good soundtrack. Now, onto the myths element of the game. And the first myths element I have is the story of the game. This is easily the weakest story in the series. The story isn't bad, but for a good amount of the game, it feels like nothing is going on. The story doesn't actually start getting interesting until like halfway through the game. And by the time the story actually like starts getting pretty good, the game's about to end. I was actually kind of shocked because like the other 3 games tell fantastic stories, and this story is actually just mid, honestly. The next myths element I have is just how they handled the characters of the game. The characters are good. Most of them. I don't know, the way they handled some of the development was just kind of weird. Characters like Elma and like especially like Lynn have like good development in the story. Almost every other character, you have to do affinity quests to expand on them. For example, L. No, not him. This guy. I think he's a pretty cool character, but if you don't do his affinity quest, you barely even see him. Like, you see him when you are introduced to him in the story, and at the very end of the game, if you don't do his affinity quest or heart to hearts. I didn't do every affinity quest in the game, so like, there's a lot of characters that just don't get a lot of development or screen time in the main story. If you don't do side quests or care to do them, you won't care for a lot of these characters. I just wish they had more development in this main story and not fully reserved in side quests. Like the other Xenoblade games, each character in the party, they were fully fleshed out in the main story. The other quests just build upon them. That's how I wish it was done in this game. It's not necessarily bad, but it's just a weird choice. The next myth element I have is the added epilogue in this version of the game. From what I heard, the epilogue is meant to answer the questions player had at the end of the original ending. Now, I'm not gonna spoil or show any footage from the epilogue, but let's just say it fucking goes places I wasn't expecting it to go. There's a good amount of story bits that are cool ideas, but there are also a lot of points where I think it goes a little too far, and it has a good amount of filler in it. Also, tonally, it feels extremely different from the base game, and I can see a lot of people not liking this epilogue for certain things that it does. The last myth element I have is just how much the game makes you do side quests. This is honestly kind of more of a negative. The game makes you do a lot of side content in the game. Okay, so I'm playing the game and I try to start up a story quest, but I can't until I realize I have to do a certain amount of side content. When I saw that, alarms are going off in my head. I'm telling you, most of the game is just you doing just enough side content so you can progress on into the main story. I'm telling you, there were like whole ass like 7-hour sessions where I was just doing side quests just for like a 40-minute story mission, and then once you finish that mission, you gotta do more side content to continue on. If you do not like doing side quests in games and just like to focus on main story bits, you will hate this game. You have to survey a certain amount of a region in Mira and do affinity quests and be a certain level to do story missions. To survey Mira, you have to place down these things called frontier nav or FN probes at certain sites. And once you do that, you have to do certain tasks specific area to increase your survey rate. This can be simple things like just placing down FN probes or finding certain treasure, or like hard stuff like clearing side quests or fighting big bosses called tyrants that can be like 20 levels higher than you. Mira is fucking massive, so it takes a long time to do these before you can do a side quest. And the more you progress on in the game, it progressively gets harder and harder because you have to do more and more each time. And some of the items you have to find can be a bitch. They will have you run around like a moron for a while, or you just say fuck it and try another section. Mind you, this becomes a little easier once you get your stealth because you move so fast. At a certain point in the game, you can just fucking fly, but it's still annoying. If these weren't mandatory, these could be something to do when like you're on your way to a quest or like you're bored or something. But the fact that they make so much of it mandatory feels like a chore sometimes. The affinity quest I don't mind too much, so some of them were actually pretty good. It's just when the game makes you do so many tasks before you can even accept a story mission. And what doesn't make sense is that you can't accept a story quest and an affinity quest at the same time. And you can't also do more than one affinity quest at a time. Like, why? That is such a dumb restriction to have. Like, imagine in Xenoblade 3, you wanted to do a hero quest, but you couldn't because you were in the middle of a story chapter, or vice versa. Like, why can't you just accept multiple at the same time? It's so dumb. And that kind of leads into my negatives. This game's pacing sucks ass. This shit is like One Piece pacing, it's so bad. Making a good amount of side content mandatory makes the pacing horrible. Like, imagine this. You're invested in a story mission. You're like, alright, this is pretty interesting. That immersion is immediately ruined when you then have to spend another like 5 hours or so surveying Mira. The game just fucking stomps on the brakes every time a story mission ends. Like, why? The next negative I have is just the way they handled UltimaSora. Story-wise, this mainly has to do with like the amnesia plot element. There's only like one moment in the story where it leads to like a good reveal, and that's it. I don't know if they touch on it more in an Infinity Quest or not. Like, I still haven't done all the quests yet, but I'm telling you, you can almost take out that plot point entirely and it barely changes anything. And it's hard to be fully invested in them when they barely have a role to play until like near the end of the game. I wish they did more with UltimaSora instead of just having her stand there in most cutscenes and like say one or two things. The next negative I have is kind of small, I guess, but there was one character I flat out hate, and that is Tatsu. I don't know how controversial this is, but I hate this fucking Nopon. This Nopon literally does nothing in this game. Sure, he has funny moments with Lyn, but most of the time he's like extremely annoying. He literally does nothing except for saying lame jokes. He's a joke compared to other Nopon in the series like Riki, Tora, Reikyu. Hell, even Kino and Nene from Future Connected are better than Tatsu. The next negative I have is like the main villains of the game. I found the main villain of the game to be extremely bland and forgettable. There was one villain, I guess, that I will not reveal who it is, that is leagues above the main villain. But like the main villain, he's so forgettable, I literally forgot his name. And like the reason he's scared of humans and like wants to like basically like get rid of them, like I found that to be super lame and anticlimactic. Like, he pales in comparison to almost every other villain in the series. And like the final negative I have is just how much I just like to throw over-leveled enemies at you everywhere you go. This shit was so fucking annoying. Yes, the other Xenoblade games did this, but not to the point where it was almost fucking impossible to progress into the main story because there were so many like enemies that are like 10, 20 levels, oh, like even more than that above you, and they just one-shot you. In the other games, every once in a while, you might find a high-level enemy that might one-shot you. In X, it happens all the fucking time. There were multiple moments in the story and in Affinity missions where I couldn't progress because I was getting destroyed by an enemy that was like 40 levels above me. Oh my god, it led to some moments where I was losing my fucking shit. Once you get your skill, this is nowhere near as bad since you can just drive past them really fast. But that first half was kind of dreadful at points, I'm not gonna lie. Overall, do I think Xenoblade X is a bad game? No. As much as I was complaining about certain things, I don't think the game sucks. The gameplay is really good and is fun to master. The skills are easily the best part about the game, in my opinion. Like, the game is worth it for that alone. Mira is cool to explore and learn about, but the game just isn't as good as the other mainline games. The story isn't the same quality as the other ones. I wish a lot of the other characters got more screen time in the main story. I wish they toned down how much side content you had to do before you progress into the story. You can argue that it's like not even side content at that point. There's some things this game could have done amazingly, but it kind of falls short. I would still recommend this to people who are huge fans of the series and haven't played the original. Just temper expectations and be prepared to do a shit ton of side quests. It's not a bad game, but damn, I was exhausted by the time I finished this game. Maybe I will enjoy it more my next playthrough because I will know what to expect from it, but for now, I'm gonna give Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition a low 7 out of 10. That's gonna do it for today's video. I hope you guys don't murder me in the comments for not exactly loving this game. I wouldn't say that I'm disappointed because I kind of expected it to not be as good. But what do you guys think? Did you love Xenoblade Chronicles X? Is it an improvement over the original game? What are your thoughts on the epilogue? That should be an interesting topic for a lot of Xenoblade fans to do that epilogue and what it does. Is this your first time playing Xenoblade X like me? Let me know down in the comments below. If you like game reviews, you're gonna want to subscribe because I try to do it all the time, and there was a couple games this month that I do want to review. I have a Twitch that I try to stream a lot, but this game took a lot out of me, so I haven't been doing it recently, but I will try to get back onto streaming on Twitch. If you are interested in that, that's also gonna be linked in the description. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.